The answer to your question is yes. We spent 2 years looking at it. We are continuing to look at it. We have looked at teams in London. We've looked at teams in Madrid, in France, and in the Netherlands. And I'm not looking at the big teams. I don't think you'll ever see me write a check to go buy Chelsea or one of those, or Tottenham or anything like that. It's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just not, that's not what we're about. What we're about is more probably teams in the 6 to 11 category, where if I can create a sort of keiretsu of training academies in a multi-team, multi-country ownership, where we can actually, and we're partnered with a very capable and well-known data analytics team, and we can manage cash flow like a business, and with always the eye on making sure you're far away from relegation risk. But if you can, set yourself up so that you have a very stable and consistent level of cash flow, I can then go do the things that I've done in the States in that environment, which I think would be great for the ecosystem. So there's so much to do. Yeah. But the starting point, we've been looking at it for 2 years and haven't been able yet to find the right grouping, because it requires the right partnership on the ground, and it requires all the other things that I talked about.
And would you be looking to buy them pretty much all at once or very quickly, or are you doing it?
Yeah, it's probably hard to buy them all at once. So.
Buongiorno pomeriggio, buonasera, fellow Milanisti, and welcome to the MLM podcast with us, your hosts. Me, of course, Max Lombardia. Him, of course, everyone's favourite AC Milan uncle, Gino, and a fantastic and reoccurring guest, one of our favourites, Raj, who is with us to do our season review. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, sure.
It's a sobering video, isn't it? When you watch that video and you listen to what he says and you see what's unfolding in front of you, pretty much says, oh, and we showed this video, I think, at the end of last season as well, Gino, in our season review. So it's verifying itself.
Have we lost?
Guys, so look, this is the last podcast we're going to be doing for quite. Hello?
Yeah, you disappeared. You went really robotic. Are you okay, Max?
Yeah, fine. I think they've tapped into our recording already. So look, listen. Today it's our last podcast for a while. We're going to talk about the end of the season. We've got obviously fantastic Raj with us to talk it through. We are going to recap the season. We're going to recap the players and their performance. We're going to talk about Allegri. We're going to talk about the season itself, the league table. We're also going to look at forwards and what we think is going to happen. And we are, of course, going to talk about the absolute... I mean, look, everyone knows what's happened. The headlines, people leaving, people being sacked, all that sort of stuff. We will get into it, but we're going to do it as organically as we can through here. So you have us for an hour and a bit, probably, to talk all things Milan, and probably have what will feel like a bit of a therapy session, I think, for us as Milan fans. So happens right. A big thank you to Milan Extra, of course, who have propped us up this season with their fantastic graphics, etc. So a big thank you to them. We really appreciate it. Right, let's get into it, guys. So let's start with the players. We're going to start with the defence and defenders. Here we are. Can everyone see that? So what we've got here is a very AI-generated image with, of course, our back line. So
no.
What we're going to do is we are going to rate these players out of 10.
Max, I'm just going to cut in a second. You keep on dropping in and out, and the quality just keeps on losing. So would you do you want to leave the room? Do you want me to kick you out the room and you come back into the room?
Yeah, let me leave and come.
Okay. So just whilst we wait for Max, he'll be back. He should be back in
Max
now.
is back. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Working?
Yep.
Yeah,
dodgy Wi-Fi. Right, okay, so as I was saying, this is our AI-generated image of the defenders and the back line. So what we're going to do is we are going to talk through these players. We're going to give them a grading out of 10 for the season. And we're also going to do a keep, loan or sell. So let's start with Mike Mannion. What we're going to do is we're in this weird order. So let's go with the order on the screen. So we'll start with Gino, down to Raj, and then to me last. So Mike Mannion, Gino.
I've actually made notes, which is the first time in 4 years of doing this. So I hope you're all proud of me. And the reason why is because Raj was so good last time. I was like, I am not messing this up, right? I will not be the weak link. So Mike Mannion for me, 6. Because in the Andata, in the home leg, he was just absolutely brilliant, but shaky in the return leg, often beating on the near post when it mattered as well. So I just thought 6 out of 10.
And do you keep, loan or
going
sell
for
him?
7?
Honestly, if I can get the money for him right now, I'd sell him.
Sorry, Raj, to cut in. Go for it, mate.
Sorry, I interjected. I think my enthusiasm is getting ahead of me. I probably because I would rate him among the higher, amongst the higher players in the squad, given what a absolute train wreck of a season we've had. For the very same reasons that Gino mentioned, I'd probably go with a 7. I think he's practically stagnated. I don't think he's gotten better, if that is even possible for a keeper his age. But I think his strengths have remained the same, as have his weaknesses. And the one that's glaringly obvious is his inability to guard the near post.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And Raj, do you keep, sell or loan him?
I honestly can't answer that question in isolation. If I tell you that I'd like to keep him, it's only because I think investment is required in other parts of the pitch rather than because I think we need to keep him. So if I had a carte blanche to basically nuke the squad and then start from scratch, then yes, I would sell him. But if I have to choose which positions to strengthen, then I would keep him for now.
Fair enough. I think, I go 7 as well. I think the first half of the season he was excellent, and he kind of kept that up really until sort of February. Then he was quite poor. I mean, that Como game, the near post, some of the goals he conceded was a bit strange. He was very inconsistent. One week he'd be brilliant, one week he was not so good. So I think 7's fair. Again, if I take into context everything that's going on, I would keep someone like Mike for this team, for this stability, for some kind of stability in this team. He's the captain. So yeah, I'd keep him. We can do the next 2 quite quickly. So Terracciano, Gino.
So Terracciano, I've given 5.5. Asked very little of, really. Delivered when he was asked to. Dependable, but nothing more than that, really.
Keep him?
And I'd keep him, yeah.
Yeah, fair. Raj?
Oh, we've lost
you.
You're
on mute.
Muted there.
Yeah. I'd keep him too. I think very little to really say about Ciano or Torriani because they've not really featured that much. But yeah, I'd keep both of them. I would give them a not applicable rating, to be honest.
Fair enough. Well, I'll do him in 2 hits as well then. So I think Terracciano, when we needed him, he was fine. So 5 out of 10, keep him. Torriani, I'd loan him out. I think he needs to go and play some more minutes. Again, I don't think did he even play. I think he did a really good. I think he had a really good cameo in some of the pre-season matches where he did some really good penalty stops and stuff.
He did have one cameo
the Arsenal game or something.
He did have one in the season, didn't he? He did have one appearance in the season, I think. That's the note I've got, is one appearance, but I can't tell you what game that was.
I can't remember. Fair enough. Yeah. Do you want anything different for Torriani for you, Gino?
No, I'd keep him. I'd say keep him. I'd send him out on loan, but I'd want to keep him in my back pocket because I think he has actually got some very good skills, and I think we could do with a young Italian goalkeeper between the sticks, to be perfectly honest. I'd like to see him playing for us in the senior team in the not too distant future. So
fine, perfect. Yeah, good. Okay, let's do these defenders then. Let's just start chronologically on the board here. So Atakami, Gino?
So I've given Atakami 6 out of 10, and that may sound a bit high, but I think he is promising, and the step up's been better than what any of us expected. His bookings were a concern, and I do think he's actually got a decent delivery of the ball, so that's where I'm putting him at 6.
Raj? Oh, sorry, Gino. Keep, sell, or loan. We keep forgetting that bit.
Oh, Christ. Okay, so Atakami, I would try and keep, actually.
Fine. Sorry, Raj?
Yeah, I think along with acclimatizing very quickly to the league, let's not forget he came from young boys, an absolute unknown quantity. Allegri took his time to induct him into the team, but I think he more or less hit the ground running. I think towards the end of the season, he made a strong claim to actually own the spot in the starting lineup, which is something that he deserves praise for. Very good with his deliveries into the box. We probably need a lot more of that this season. And he chipped in with a couple of goals. You could see that he is a goal threat from outside the box. He has a good shot on him. So I'll probably give him a generous 7, to be honest.
Fair enough. And do you keep him?
Would keep him. Yes, would keep him.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll go with Gino with this one, 6. And I'd keep him. Very good delivery of the ball, actually. Very good technical player. Just not great at the basics of defending, I found this season. He let himself get carried away positionally. He was often in the wrong place. He made some blunders as well. So I think 6 is fair. But like you said, first season, and actually he did acclimatise quite well for such a young player. Right, Bartazaghi, Gino.
So I would say Bartazaghi 6.5, because he's got goals. He's shown a lot of promise. I think for me, he's been like one of the big surprises of the season. But more importantly, I think he is one of those kind of future Milan kind of names if we keep him. But we've got to grow him. We can't just expect him to do it all by himself. We've got to grow him. We need to put him next to better defenders who will be able to teach him the things that are necessary, a bit more positionally as well. He needs to learn that side of the game. So 6.5. I do think I gave Atakami 6, 6.5. I would keep Bartazaghi at 6 with 6.5. I would like to see him grow into 6.5, 8 player, 2 seasons basically.
I would give him a 6. I think he started off on a promising note, but there's context to that. He was being compared to Pervis Estupinian, and I think anybody, including the cafeteria chef, would look better than Pervis Estupinian. So the bar was really low, but he came in. He's had time to train with the squad in the previous couple of seasons as well. So that familiarity surely helped. What he really struggled at was the basics, which I think you touched upon for Atakame. His positional sense is awful. He doesn't really know when to charge and when to back off. He's atrocious at defending from set pieces for a person who's as tall as he is. So maybe a bit harsh. It's also because he's 19 and he's playing at the senior most level of the game. I think there's a lot of promise in him, because you don't break into the first team at 19 at Milan if there is not much that you have to offer. So there is obviously potential. I wouldn't want to keep him because I think we need a starting level centre back next season. A starting level left back next season, and that is going to limit Bartisaghi's minutes. So I would loan him because he has created a sizable level of interest in the market. There's a lot of awareness about him right now. So there are going to be people who want him, who might want to take him off us for a season. I think he'd get more game time. In the interim, I think Milan need to reinforce the left-hand side of their defense. And I'd probably bring in 1, if not 2, players while he develops, because I think he's got another 2 to 3 years before he actually starts playing on a consistent level for Milan.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I kind of agree with you both, really. I think thrusted into the first team because there was no other option because of how poor Estepanan was. One-to-one defending, questionable sometimes, really questionable. Set piece defending, corners, free kicks, really poor. If you watch some of those last few games of the season with him positionally on these corners and crosses, yeah, not good. But also with what Gino was saying, he still needs some time. He needs to be taught. He needs some support. So maybe a loan is probably potentially the right thing to do. Or if they strengthen the centre-backs properly, give him chance. Because if we're going to be in these multi-competitions next season, he will get more chance to play in games that are more for him rather than have to play, which is kind of what happened this season. So I think I'd give him a 6 out of 10, and I think I would loan him as well. Okay, Coney de Winter. Gino.
De Winter went looking for De Summer. I'm going to keep that joke forever. I think 5.5 because I think he struggled really badly at the start. He then had this bit of a green patch, and then he kind of reverted a bit back to type again. I don't know, though, how much of that reverting back to type was due to what was going on in the dressing room with Allegri, with the other players, with what was being said, the kind of rumours that were all coming out. What did he regress? Because basically he just thought, this is too much of an environment that I can't stand in, which is why I've given him a 5.5. Because when he did have his green moments, we saw it in that Parma game, Max. He's strong, he's physical, he's quick. There are attributes to him where it's like, oh my God, if we can just tap into that more often, if we can just get something more out of it. So 5.5 for me. I would be tempted to keep only because we need centre-backs, but he is not a starting centre-back.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment as well. I think Coney de Winter was primarily brought in to address one very gaping problem in the defense, which is the lack of ability to defend aerially. So statistically, he was far superior to anything that we had in the squad in terms of aerial defense. That essentially was cast aside because we played so deep in the box that aerial threats weren't really a problem. We had to defend more on the ground than in the air. And that's where De Winter's weaknesses, I think, got exposed. He's not very good in one-on-ones. He's not very good in defending across the pitch on the ground. That's an area of his game he needs to improve. At 20 million, which might be chump change for most clubs in Europe. For Milan, it isn't. He is costing a fair bit to essentially be a backup, but I think next season he would add some depth to the squad, and we might experience certain challenges aerially as we play in a different setup, in a different system. So I think for that reason, I would keep him as a depth option.
Yeah, I think I agree with you both, to be fair. I think he was good 50% of the time. So that would give me a 5 out of 10. However, for 20 million, having played in the Juventus youth team, having played for Genoa, having played in a back three and a back four in Italy for most of his career, I don't think he was good enough. So I would go 4.5. I think that's generous. Would I keep him? Yeah, rotation player. That's what he is. He was a starter for Genoa. He couldn't make the Juventus team. He can't make the Milan team. He's a rotation player in my eyes. An expensive one, but we can go into how poor this team has been set up, etc. later. But I think he's just kind of an epitome of that.
Yeah.
Overpriced, low performer, rotation player. Right, this one should be quick. Estepanan.
I mean, I originally put down 5.5, and I'm going to just take it all back and just put 3. I just don't understand the signing. I don't understand why we went for him. I understand that we were panicking because we'd sold. Oh God, I've forgotten his name. Oh my God, Hernandez, Theo.
Theo Hernandez.
Sorry. It came to me before anybody could say it. Because we sold Theo, we panicked. And I think we just looked around, and I think they tried to convince us about this Moneyball thing where he could be a great option. But to be perfectly honest, every time he had his foot on the ball, every time he got out-muscled, every time he got bullied on the ball, without the ball, every time he was starting to run forwards, there was just a moment where you just say to yourselves, what you doing? Just what you doing? And you don't want to be asking that when you're playing in a system where you're trying to play quick counter-attacking football, absorb all this pressure. First and foremost, you've got to know how to defend the pressure. Then you've got to counter. And then you've got to be good enough to counter. And he was just... it's just none of those things. I'm saying 3, and that's just being generous because he scored the goal in the derby, wasn't it? So can't be more than bothered than that. Sell as well. Sell. Get the foot rid. Just like get rid. There you go.
I'm going for 2, and the extra point is because of the derby goal. The way he was bullied off the ball against Parma before Bernabé scored that goal from outside the box where he curled it into the top corner. He was made to look stupid, a stupid Nyan, on multiple occasions, I think. And you have to take into consideration that he came from Brighton, and you watch Brighton play, they're so fundamentally different to how Milan play. And you take a guy from that environment and you plonk him into Milan under Allegri and how Allegri wants to play. It's just not going to work out.
No.
So I think he's a far better player than he's looked, but we're only going to gauge him on the basis of how he's played at Milan, and comfortably one of the worst signings, possibly makes Emerson Royal look a far better player in comparison. So I would sell him. I don't really know how much Milan would make because I think they signed him for 17.5 million euros. They're not going to get anything close to that. So it's going to cost them quite a bit. It's going to cost them. It's going to create a loss in their books for him.
And that's all that matters to him, doesn't it, Raj? So I think for me, Stupinian is the Ecuadorian Emerson Royal, and I think he has been shocking. I mean, all this hype for this Brighton fullback, pace, can dribble, can score, can do all this stuff. I know he was injured, and he did take an injury at Brighton, and we've kind of signed him just after the injuries healed, of course we have. But he was rumoured to go to Real Madrid at one point. It was all this hype around him. He's been dreadful. I think he's the perfect player for the Premier League. Quick, athletic, good on the ball in terms of crosses, but everything else is for the Italian league is just not. He's just not that kind of player. So I'm going to go Raj. I'm going to give him a 2 because his number is 2. Otherwise, it'd be a 1, and we'll go with that really. And I would, if I was in Milan right now, there'd be a max-sized boot up his arse to get him out of there as quickly as possible. Useless player. But again, another 17 million. Just we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that, but we've got 17 million for Stepanan and 20+ million for De Winter. Anyway, moving on. Right, so Matteo Gabbia.
I'm gonna try and go as quick as I can through the rest of them, boys. Sorry. So for me, Gabbia, I have given him a good number here, and you will both disagree, but I've given him a 7 because I think I think basically for me, he was one of the best clearance defenders we had all season. He led in pass accuracy, actually, which was important. And he was consistent. Like you never got amazing performances, but you didn't. The handful of times where you got bad ones, it was a handful of times. But the thing is, for me, he showed up in the press conferences when we were losing. He put his face right to the name of Ace, to our beloved Milan, and that for me shows a strength of character that half of those Billy Big Bollocks who have all ended up being fired or quitting just never showed. So that for me says to me, that's the kind of man I want next to me if I was playing in that defense, because he's going to show his face and he's going to try. Do I think that he's a starting centre back? No, I don't actually, but I just think that's what we've got, and we used him the best way we could. and we keep him.
You'd be surprised, I'm going with a 7-2. And I think he's the epitome of a no-nonsense defender.
Yeah.
He's technically limited, but he's the kind of player who you will not notice in a game.
Yeah.
And apart the rare mistakes that he makes, which I think you can count on one hand over the course of a season, which is actually quite amazing. He delivers a 7. I mean, contrast to Ruben Loftus also not to be seen during the game, but that's not in a good way. When you see a defender, when you don't see a defender defend, that means he's doing the right thing, which is what I think Gabby has been doing all season long. So, and that's just a continuation from the time he's come back from Villarreal. I would ideally not want him to start, but off the lot, I think he probably deserves the starting spot, and would definitely keep him for next season.
I agree with you both. 7 out of 10. Keep him for next season. Probably the best defender we've had this season when he's been fit and ready to go. Is there any point doing Odolgu? I mean, he didn't play, so we'll skip him. I mean, that's another 10 million down the drain for no reason. Pavlovic, Gino.
7 for me. Man Mountain. 1,300 minutes I've got here. 2 goals. Physical.
He scored more than 2 goals.
Did he?
Yeah, he scored more than 2. I think he scored 4 or 5, maybe.
Okay, my bad. My note taking has not been as good as what I thought. But anyway, but yeah, we created the segment Pavlominkia, and he ends up absolutely destroying our whole segment because he just turned into this great defender. And do you know what? When he would charge forward, when he would do the whole Braveheart, it's just like hold on, then he just goes. It's like, yeah, he's like Rambo, do you know what I mean? But like in a good way. It's like he's not doing it. He's not doing it for show. He's doing it because he's trying to get the others to actually feed off it, to do something. Let's break the lines. Let's break the chains. Let's just keep him passing sideways. And for me, he was a bit of a cult hero. So, I've got to give him 7, and would I keep him? Yes, I would absolutely keep him.
Nice. So, I mean, just to plug in the information gap, he scored 5 goals in the league. 5. That's quite impressive, isn't it?
And some of them were like absolute belters as well.
That volley, the volley, I forgot about the volley. Yeah.
And he also managed to secure an assist. He clocked over 2,800 minutes this season, which is the second highest in the roster after Mike Maignan. So the second most featured player on the team sheet. I have a slightly different assessment of Pavlovic. I think he's all heart, man mountain, yes, but I do not think he fits the modern game. He's amazing charging and moving forward, but if I were to look at him purely from the perspective of a centre back, I think there is a liability there. We've barely had nifty, quick attackers charging at him. He has a very high center of gravity. He can barely turn and move quickly. He can be brought down very easily. I was a little disappointed with him in terms of defending in the box from set pieces as well. We've been very leaky from set pieces, and I would put a lot more responsibility on him than a Tomori, for instance, who we know isn't very good at that aspect of the game. I would sell Pavlovic, and it's coming from a place of understanding that we have to recover quite a lot of money to boost our transfer budget. And this would be one of the players who would fetch a hefty amount because he seems to have built a certain profile for himself, especially in the Premier League. So I would liquidate the assets, so to speak, in Jerry Cardinale's words, and find a defender more appropriate for the kind of game we're mostly going to play going forward. So I've given him a 6 for this season.
Okay.
I had 6.5 down, and that was because I just didn't think he defended well enough. I think, all good, guns blazing, and you need that sometimes, especially when you're watching these games where it's like paint drying and you're like, oh my God, are we ever going to go anywhere near the goal? And he does just do these bursts. But defensively, I don't think he's that good. I think he's all over the place. His positional play is awful. He's always in the wrong place. His touch isn't great either. I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes his first touch really lets him down. He looks a bit like a deer at headlights at times as well. And I think he needs, he is young as well. We mustn't forget he is still quite a young player. I think a bit like Bartosagi, he needs someone around him to help him. And I don't know if you ever noticed, but when Modric was around him, he would bark at him and order him to do things. And he would respond to that. But I don't know. Would I sell him? With what's going on at the moment in this team? No, because again, I think he's another one of those reliable pillar players who has been here a couple of seasons now. So I'd probably keep him. But I have to say, his defending is not good enough for a top tier team, if I'm honest.
No, listen, I think our two main centre backs in Gabbia and Pavlovic are not starting centre.
They're not starters, yeah. But Gino, do you remember when we sat there at the beginning of the season? We went Tomori, Pavlovic, Gabbia. That's not a great starting three.
We did,
and they did all right. They did all right to start with, but my God, right, last one,
well,
Tomori.
Tomori,
Gino.
For me, it's a 5. I think we all saw just the fall off he's had. I think I would sell him, and that's all I've got to say.
Yep. Raj?
4, I'd sell him too. He was excellent during the Scudetto run. I think he works in a team where you can just defend from the front and then use his space to cover up when he loses the ball or loses the man. We don't play that way anymore. We might play like that given the kind of coaches that Milan are now pursuing. But even then, I think space to make up for a lack of defending and a lack of sense of knowing how to defend, which I think Tomori lacks. So tell him to.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to go in the middle, 4.5. I think there were maybe 6 games where he was good, he was reliable, he was solid. But the rest of the season, he was a liability. Whether it was playing at right back because he was forced out there, whether he was playing in the centre, the left, the right, whatever, he just not. I think it's time to go. Basically, I think we've got to the end of his cycle here. Milan could probably recoup some cash if they sell him to one of the lower Premier League teams. It's probably time to go. Right. So next players. What if we just do? What if we do a row at a time?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right, Gino, go for it. Go the top row. Give us what your keep, loan, sell, and out of 10.
Not in the same way I've got them. Fofana, 5.5, because the guy can't shoot. The guy, it's like it's just that. Remember that amazing run he took. Anyway, 5.5 would sell. Yashari, I don't think we saw enough of Yashari, but I do think that what we saw was okay, nothing world lightning. So like 5.5 again. I'd be tempted to almost keep him because we spent the money on him. Loftus Cheek, fucking hell, like 4, get rid. Just never liked him. Do not want. I say 4, 3, get rid. Do not want him. Do not want him ever in a Milan shirt again. Stick to TikTok and do your dances, lad. Modric, beating heart really at 47.5. I would give him 7.5, if not 8. The most minutes, most passes, most interceptions. Like, if it wasn't thanks to him at the start of the season, where would we have been in that home leg of the draw? And it's got Pulisic there, and Pulisic is like two weird numbers, right? Because the first half of the season you'd give him an 8, easy. Second half of the season you give him like a 2. So what would be the average of that? What, 4.5? What I don't know what the average would be there,
5.
but
5.
Is it 5? Close to 5. Sorry, yeah, 5. Yeah, 5. Sorry. So there you go. So, and I would sell Pulisic. Modric, I'd love to keep, but for the love of God, just let the lad go. Just let him go and enjoy retirement, or let him go enjoy football in the Champions League team where he can, show us all again what we missed out on, really, in the end. That's what I would do.
Raj?
Fofana, I think he's one of the most replaceable players in the squad. Really seen him step up and fulfill potential that we thought he had when he came from. Great engine on him, but very limited moving forward. So that's something there's much upside too. So I would give him a 5 rating for the season. Tushari, just like Gino mentioned, we didn't really get to see much of him. I think he's got incredible potential. Won the Player of the Year in the Belgian league.
Yeah.
The scene we signed him, so you don't. We will see more of him once he's given the keys to the. I think because anything lower than that, and I would keep him for sure. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I've rated him a 3. I think even that's a score, to be honest. And I've been wanting to see the back of him ever since he signed the contract at Milan when he arrived from Chelsea.
Yeah.
So I think there is no room for him anymore in the squad, and he has to leave. Modric, one of the best players in the team, tailed off in the last 2 or 3 months. Given him an 8. To more. Pulisic hasn't scored in 2026. Really hard to say. Or put a number to his performances. The electric in the first half. Given him a 6, and I've decided to keep him. I think he has a lot more to offer productivity. That's the scores for the first row.
Fofanas needs to go as quickly as possible. Absolute useless player. His rush of blood in the final third, which sends the ball into row Z or sideways or off the pitch or into the ball boy's face. I don't know what he does. Useless player, 4 out of 10 if you're lucky. Yashari, I'm going to be controversial here. I don't think he's got it. I think he's a very expensive mistake. Physically pushed off the ball easily, poor in possession. There's a couple of good long-range passes, a few glimpses. I know he was injured. I don't want to think about anything past that, but he had 5, 6, 7 games, and we lost like every game, and he just didn't assert himself very well in that midfield. I mean, if I think of the Genoa game, the pass he made back to play the Genoa forward in, lucky Mike saved it. There's something not quite right. I think he needs to spend some time in the gym. I think he needs to spend more time in Italy. I wouldn't sell him, but I don't think he's had a great year. I'd probably give him a 4 out of 10. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, 0, absolutely fucking useless. I watched him get decked by the Parma keeper. Poor bloke. But other than that, I think he scored a goal, maybe.
I forgot we saw that live. I forgot. I said, "Oh, he's punched him in the head."
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for him, but I don't think that caused any brain injury. I think there was one before that. Next, goodbye. Don't ever come back. Luka Modric, solid 8 out of 10. Solid, great player, great bastion of the league. Great, just as if he'd been here for ages, as if he'd always been here, sort of this season. Controlled tempo at 40. He was one of the reasons why we were as high as we were for so long, to be honest. But even he can't keep it up physically. That's demanding on him. So 8 out of 10. Pulisic, 4 out of 10. I think he had a good August, September, October, November, and then December onwards, he was absolutely shocking. Just not in it at all. I don't know what happened, but just not in it.
I
Don't
can
know if
tell
the
you
pressure
what
of the
happened.
World Cup's on him.
I can tell you what happened.
He wishes that happened.
No.
He wishes.
He got caught. He got caught on those dating apps. This is what's come out, and that messed with his head way too much.
He's got to be stronger than that. Got to be stronger than that.
Who we got?
Yeah, just
Rabiot,
not-
Ricci, and Salamakers.
Pulisic was my best player of 2025. I think he had a great year this season. Awful so far. Right, go on. Sorry. Yeah.
Salamakers. Right. Hang on. Rabiot. I'll go Rabiot first. Sorry. Rabiot 7. I thought just physical, stepped up, did all the things that Allegri knows he can do. He did a really good job of doing that. Next to Modric was just fantastic. But I think 7 kind of ceiling. I don't think he's got world class. I don't think he is Modric-esque in terms of all the dictate tempo. It's just very much like he does the job. I think Salamakers next season, I'd go 6. He actually had the most tackles and most progressive carries I've got here. But show signs of weakness as well, which I'm worried about. Rabiot, I would try and keep. Salamakers, I would try and sell. And Ricci, I don't think we saw enough of Ricci. Plain and simple. I don't think Allegri gave him enough of a chance. I think when we did see Ricci, he was playing him out of position. So I give Ricci actually a 6.5 because he took it on the chin. He tried to show that he could impose himself in different positions. It is not the Ricci of Torino that we saw, that young dynamic, but he is very elegant on the ball. I like that kind of elegance, but I just think he needs to be played in the right position. That's why I give him 6.5. Raj?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think he was Modric, the cornerstone of the team. The squad performed to their potential. We might have even pushed Inter for the Scudetto. I think that's how good Rabiot was. He was probably one of the best midfielders in the running
Raj?
up and down, very rarely put. Yeah.
I'm just going to stop you. You've dropped out a few times as well. Max,
right.
Can we let Raj back into the room in a second? Raj, would you just like to leave the room a second and just try and come back in?
So I spat him out. There you go.
There you go. You're back.
Is this any better? Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yeah,
You are audible. Yeah.
Yeah, is this better? Okay, let me just redo the Rabiot bit. I've given Rabiot a 9. I think he was the best player for Milan this season. Was an engine up and down the pitch, did what Allegri brought him to do. Perhaps one of the league. Apart from play and creating transitions, he scored 6 goals and contributed 5 assists. That's 11 goal contributions over the course of the season, which is something you wouldn't expect from what Rabiot is brought in to do. So I would definitely keep him. He might be playing in blue next season for all you know. Ricci, echo wrongly. Given Ricci a 6. I'm not sure if I mentioned what my rating for Rabiot was, but it was a 9. That's the highest they've given any player this season, by the way. And Salamakers, I've given him a 6. Did what Salamakers does. Nothing exceptional, nothing too poor. Had his moments of glory, had his moments of humiliation. But yeah, I mean, I just keep him as squad for his utility value. Anywhere down, and he just goes on and plays without throwing a tantrum. So I think you need players like that in the squad as well. So I keep him. But this is what you'd get from him every season.
Fair enough. I keep all 3. However, I think Rabiot I've gone about 7.5. I don't think he was. I don't think he was as good as Modric, and I thought there was a couple of games where he looked a bit lost without Modric. So I give him a 7.5, but still great performance season. I would keep him at all costs. Richie, unfair. I mean, he just played out of position. He is probably your most classic number 6 in Serie A. I mean, he did such a good job for Torino in that position, but we decided not to play him there. I remember a lot of people complaining of his sideways passing and playing it safe. That's what a 6 does. That's their job.
Yeah.
They get the ball, they play it out of danger. So that was a bit irritating. I'll probably give him a 6 out of 10. I think he could have been a bit better still, but I think it's a bit unfair. Salamakers, I think the only problem with Salamakers, he's all mouth and no trousers. He wants to be like Teo. He's like arguing and kicking off and whatever. And he did. I think he was second or third most successful dribbles in Serie A, which is great. But what did he actually do with those dribbles? He didn't have loads of assists and he didn't score loads of goals. So I think just not there for me. I think I give him a 5 out of 10, a half decent season.
I will say that Salamakers is your old school baller, where he does little techers and things like this. And I think that he had players around him who were not understanding, right? He's like when he did that cross in that Parma game that we went and watched, Matt. I mean, I lost it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Not in a good way, by the way, Raj. I did get very angry at it. But it's this thing of like, you are right, all fur, no knickers or whatever, it's a bit too showy if then you're doing nothing with it. So
yeah, but what's the point? I could. What's the point? Get the cross in. There were so many times where all he had to do was get the cross in, and he just fucked about with it, and he lost the occasion. I think you have to learn to play simple as well. Sometimes let's get the goals and then fuck about. I don't think I think his footballing IQ is high in one regard, but also low in another. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Low in another, yeah.
Right, okay. Let's do the attack. Go on, Gino.
Nicholas Fulkrug, 2, send him back. Do not pay for him. Santiago Jimenez, 1, sell. Don't care. Nkunku, I think, actually, towards the end of the season, he got the goals. He was showing that he does a bit more time, but my biggest concern with Nkunku is who's going to give you the delivery, mate? Are you going to work for that team? Are you the one that's going to sit on the last line of the defenders? What are you going to do? I don't understand what kind of striker he is. I can't tell what striker he is. And look, Leao, we've defended him. Because we think that the criticism is overly harsh, right? So, by the way, I would try and keep Nkunku, but I'm going to say, look, Rafa, I think your time's come to an end as well. I think go and enjoy football somewhere else. Try and become the player that we know you can become. If you ever get your head right, I give him a 5 for the season. I don't think it was as good. I don't think it was a great season for him. And I feel for him. I feel because he loves this jersey. He loves our club. He's tried his hardest, but something in him broke this year. And I 2 seasons ago, we would have had 120. Now we're lucky if we'll get 40. But I think he's got to go for him and for us. I think we've got to say, listen, let's just stop trying to do too much with where we just give you the ball and expect you to turn the result around. Yeah. Raj?
Fulkrug, send him back. 1 goal in 20 appearances. I know he's not playing full games, but that's not the kind of outcome striker in the win. Jimenez hasn't scored all season, but I'm probably one of the few who actually believes in Jimenez's potential. I believed in potential when he came. I think there is a striker in there as long as you play to his strengths. I would only because we need strikers off the bench. So I would keep Santiago Jimenez. I would sell Nicholas Fulkrug. 3 for both of them. And Nkunku, I think would be a great addition for a team that plays with a second striker. I don't think we will play with a second striker. I think he was very lost, chipped in with some very important penalty goals. I think he's creatively in the final third, which we did not get to see this season because Allegri just kept playing music with the front two all through the season. So I don't think there was stability or continuity in terms of playing time that any of these forwards got. I would sell him too because he's cost us 40 million euros. I think that valuation is just going to continue to dip. And as for Liao, I've given him a 5. I would sell him too. He played in a front two, which is not, again, a position that is his. He's a wide man who was forced into a center forward role, still managed to chip in with goals, was carrying a groin injury, but it's not. There has been a very gradual, visible decline in his performances. And I highly doubt he's going to go back to being the player who helped us win the Scudetto. So make the plan with when you still can.
Thank you. I can do this fairly quickly. None of these 4 players can maintain possession in a final third, and I think that is absolutely crucial for any forward player. So that's just start with that one. Fulkrug, 0 out of 10, no impact whatsoever. Jimenez, 0 out of 10, no impact whatsoever. Liao, 5 out of 10. 14 times he lost possession in one half in the final third in one of the games this season. Just not good enough with the ball, just not good enough. We can talk about injuries, we can talk about everything we want, but if you can't make a simple pass, you can't put a simple cross in, you can't header, you're no good to me as a centre forward. 5 out of 10 if you're lucky. Time to go. We've defended him left, right, centre, Gino, like we said, but we've reached an end. And Nkunku scored a load of penalties. In open play, what did he actually do? Scored 2 goals, one was a tap-in, one was that late equaliser against Fiorentina.
This is what I'm saying, though. I don't understand what kind of striker he is. I don't understand what kind of striker he is.
Well, he's not a striker. He's a second striker or a winger. But we've purchased him as a forward because we had no other alternatives because they fucked everything up. So this is what we ended up with. It's not really his fault. He scored 5 penalties. He earned a couple of those penalties. They were good finishes. And that's not to be underestimated in this Milan team to be able to score a penalty. But he didn't actually do a lot. People were like, oh, he didn't actually do anything. Like, he barely had an assist. Do I keep him for next season? Probably, but based on the averages of everyone else who's going, so someone needs to stay. I don't know. I don't rate him. I don't know what it is. I think he was just the worst possible purchase at the worst possible time by a moron. And as we know, it was Polani's choice because he got involved and ruined other plans to buy other forwards. Shock, horror. Right, that's done. That was always going to be the longest part. Thank you, guys. I think we've done pretty well there. So I'm going to put this up now. Why did it swap us, Raj? I go back to the bottom. So, look, this is the league table. Use this to reference Allegri. I want a minute or 2 tops each. Give me Allegri, give me AC Milan finishing the season off in this position. Gino, go.
First half of the season, Allegri was 8 out of 10. Second half of the season, I think Allegri was 4.5. I think the lack of fitness that the players were showing, I think the fact that you had no other competitions distracting you, I think the fact that players' mentalities just seem to go down the gutter, really. I think there was a lot of things that Allegri got wrong in the second half of the season. And he did the very Italian thing of how many points do I need to secure myself into the top 4 and counted backwards from that. And I think that set a tone. And as soon as that sets a tone, I think everybody picks up on it. Everybody from the tea room, the espresso, everybody from the espresso machine to your top stars. So my vote for Allegri for the season is 6. And my vote for Milan finishing 5th Well, lo and behold, in the season preview that you and I did, Max, we said that they wouldn't finish in the top 4. You put them 5th, I put them 7th. And based on that criteria alone, it's a 6 out of 10, because they kind of, we tricked ourselves in the first half of the season. We did the foolish thing of something called, and gentlemen, I want you to remember this, and boys and girls who might be listening, Gino's got the phrase of a lifetime. Hope is good. Hope propels a man. We hoped way too much.
Go on, Raj.
I agree with Gino. Honestly, I did not have. So this doesn't come as a complete surprise how the season unfolded. Allegri of weakening our strengths, in an area of our weakness, and as a result, we ended up being neither here nor there. I do not think it was controlled or managed. The key in terms of how did our if you look at how the table now appears, we were the weakest track of the top 6. We had the lowest goal difference. 2 or more goals in only 14 games, right? That's a little more than one. And of the games that we won by 40 games by 1 goal, and we've lost 6 out of 8 games by 1 goal. This isn't really controlled results. This is not Cortomoso. This is honest, which was
No, stop.
camouflaged by
Raj,
run.
stop.
Yeah, you're jumping in and out again, fella. We missed quite a bit of that.
So just the Cortomuso. This isn't Cortomuso.
Is it because?
I'm gonna kick you out again.
Wow, you just kicked
It's
him
not.
out.
We're having some technical. There we go. Here he comes. Yeah.
You said it wasn't
What about
Is it because
Raj?
I'm moving? Is it because there's a lot of yes.
No,
I'm saying
you
wasn't.
You were fine, and then it just. Yeah.
It wasn't Cortomuso. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't Cortomuso. It was pure luck or a lack of.
Right.
Did you? I mentioned the number of games that we won by 1 goal, and did you guys get that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Keep that
Yeah.
bit as well, please, because we lost a bit of that as well.
No worries. So we basically scored 2 or more goals in only 14 games right? And in terms of we won by 1 goal, we won 14 of the 20 matches that you see on the table by a margin of 1 goal. And we lost 6 out of 1. Actually controlled your results and performance, you wouldn't be losing 6 out of you're actually trying to control the result by playing Cortomuso. So I think Allegri was just trying to suffocate and stifle that to his own team. The strikers that came in absolutely offered nothing. And Milan, who Roma signed, and you can see have pipped us and gone to 3rd place. Fun fact: Roma were 9 points below Milan after the derby win, and there was a single probability of Roma finishing top 4 at that point in time.
Yeah.
Table. Milan secured 10 games. If they had kept up that form for the end season, they would have finished 17th. Right? And what he has done to the team. So the beaten streak wasn't some controlled genius. It was us being very, very lucky. decided to be not press oppositions, ranked 16th in the league for which is a pressing statistic, which I spoke to you guys about. Which teams pressed the most? It was Como, Roma, and so this. Oh gosh, I don't. Am I audible?
I can hear you, but every couple of words it goes in and back out again. That's fine. Keep going.
Keep going. Just keep trying to go.
Okay, so Como, Roma, and Inter rank in the top 3 in terms of pressing in the league, and they are also the top 3 teams in the league. So you can see this like trying to start up shop just doesn't exist, just doesn't work anymore.
No.
And so neither were we good as an attacking unit, nor did we defend ourselves into a top 4 finish. So I think holistically and comprehensively, this was a disaster from Allegri. I've gone with a 5, and I think even that's a generous score.
And what about the season overall? What would you give Milan?
Honestly, we got out of the Coppa Italia very early on. We didn't achieve our minimum objective. I'd go with 3 out
of 10.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let me give you my take. So I think I got carried away with the resultism of the first half of the season. We said, didn't we, in January, I think I asked you, Raj, is this sustainable? And I think all 3 of us agreed it's not sustainable because the way that we were playing, the putrid, boring fashion in the way that we were playing, the lack of cohesion, the lack of energy, everything was at some point going to, hit us back in the arse. The amount of games we won or drew where the first half was unwatchable, even in the first half of the season. This is on Allegri. Now, yes, we'll talk about the team he was given, the rubbish January Mercato. All that does have some context. But I never once felt confident watching this team. Never one game did I think we were going to win this easy. And we didn't win any game, really. I think it was one game we won, maybe 2 convincingly. It was an awful season from Allegri's point of view. Allegri came here to make his 5 million quid a year and reach top 4. And when you set out for parameters that low, you're always risking it. So I give Allegri a 4 out of 10. I think, yes, he brought some stability in the defence. Yes, he got more points than last season. But last season was fucking atrocious, and he still managed to have a worse return leg this season than we did last season under Conceição. So I think it's a 4 out of 10. I think he absolutely got it wrong. If I think of the Lazio game, if I think of all the games after the Lazio game where our heads went down, he got pretty much every game wrong, the approach pretty much wrong. So I cannot give him a high score. I can't give him... Because I'd say for 60% of the season, we were awful. So 4 out of 10. In terms of the season as a whole for Milan, it's a 1 out of 10 from me. And that's just for turning up. Because you're in no competition other than the league. Yeah. You have, no excuse. This badge warrants you to compete for Serie A. Now, whether you can or not is a different matter, but that is what you should be aiming for. This season is a monumental failure. And I think based on the net spend, based on the players on the roster, based on the manager and how much he cost this season, this is one of the worst seasons I've witnessed in the last 10 to 15 years. And yes, I think it's worse than some of the Banter era seasons because you knew what you were getting in those seasons. You knew you were going to have shit players. You knew there was no budget. You knew that 8th was probably the best you could possibly achieve. This is different. This feels worse. And I haven't felt this bad about Milan on that final Cagliari game than I have in a really long time, even last season. Awful season, 1 out of 10. We didn't compete on any front at all. The closest we got was 6 points to Inter, and we completely capitulated. Rubbish. Anyone that thinks this season is positive or can try and scrape some positivity out of it, my God, you need to go and be a motivational speaker because how you can do that, I don't know. Rubbish. Right, so we've done that. So look, we're an hour and 4 minutes. Conscious I don't want to be here all night. So let's just talk a little bit about what's going on now and in the future. So I'm going to go first and you guys can follow me. So, as we know, they've carte blanched everything. So Cardinal has come in. I've come in and I'm going to change the team, Ibrahimovic. Sorry, that's my rubbish American accent. And he's gone, right, Fulani gone, Moncada gone, Tada gone, Allegri gone, right? And he's pressed the button because that's what he thinks is going to make a difference. All being he's kept probably one of the biggest problems there is in Ibrahimovic, right? So you can imagine that meeting, can't you? Hey, Ibra. And he's just like, hello, Jerry. And there's like nothing really going on, right? It's like really bad conversations. However, they're all gone. What's my worry? The two main culprits are still there. So do I think anything's going to change? No. Is it good that Fulani's gone and he can go work in Starbucks now? Yeah, great. But I can't see it. I think it's going to get worse. I think it's genuinely going to get worse. We've heard about Areola. He doesn't want to come to Milan. Why would you? Why would you want to come to this absolute shit show when you can go manage Crystal Palace, earn more money and have a bigger transfer budget? You know, then I hear Xavi doesn't want to do it. No one's going to want to do this. It's going to be some third, fourth rate manager last minute. We're making a decision without a sporting director, so that's going to work, isn't it? Of course it's not. Who's the sporting director going to be? No one knows. It's all here in Ibra's head, but there isn't much going on up here, apart from paddle and being stupid on TV. So I think we're in trouble, big, big trouble. In terms of looking at the future, there's a small budget. We don't know who the manager is. We don't know who the sporting director is. Cardinale has no idea what he's doing. Ibrahimovic is an egomaniac. This is all the ingredients for an apocalyptic fail. Now, we've got Europa League next season. I couldn't give a flying fuck about the Europa League. I'd rather not be in anything if I'm not in the Champions League. I don't care if financial fans, oh yeah, it's good for the money. No one cares. Literally nobody cares. Jerry Cardinale didn't care 5 minutes ago. He didn't care 5 years ago. That's how it's going to be. So I'm really sorry to be pessimistic and negative, but I can't see much greatness coming. If anything, I can only see it going downhill. I would implore you not to read all the bullshit, not to look at all the rumours, not to get too tied into it all, because God knows, honestly. You know, I read the other day, Milan are interested in this player. Who was interested? There's no one there. Ibra's interested. Like, who is it? And Ibra's too busy going off to CBS to do the World Cup. So he's got his priority is somewhere completely different. Like Gino said on Instagram post, non ci caga, il Milan non ci caga, non ci interessa il Milan questo, è un coglione. Right, Gino next.
No, Raj next. We need a basis where I can either depart off or just be like, yeah, that's sound.
No, so am I audible?
Yes, yeah, go.
It was very bored and not fresh. I know Ibrahimovic is a remnant from, but let's begin by sort of understanding who currently in the man team. So you have Cardinale, who obviously is the investor, from what I understand, in Red Capital, which is really fire him, and he's promised to make further investments in the company as well. So he continues to play a quasi brand ambassador and sporting advisor role, and that's why you continue to see him. And there's somebody called, I think, Massimo, who is going to be an interim CEO. I'm quite excited about Calvelli because I think he's a very progressive individual. Slight context to him, is the CEO of the 8 Association between 2020 and 2025. So he kind of oversaw the growth of tennis during the COVID years, brought it to a place where it is today before he joined Redbird Capital. So that's the current team, right? The people who were let go of, which were Tare, Allegri, Moncada, and Cardinale, all of them had to go, and for various reasons. Let's start with Cardinale, who had been playing dirty politics, something I did not expect from an American, in Italy. I was expecting that from the old hogs of Serie A. What politics did he play? He had certain friends in the agent side of things. One in particular was was somebody somebody by the name of Busardo,
Do you mean Fulani?
who largely influenced Cardinales' thinking with regards to players who would have even players who would be sold. Who came in through Busardo were so you know where these players came from, right? A lot of Max alluded to this earlier on. Spent money on Nkunku because that was a panic buy, completely Fulani's work. Did not entertain Allegri and to bring in Vlahovic, and many Allegri wanted in. Tare was responsible for bringing in, and we know from the amount of time Allegri gave these players over the course of the season. So there was a complete chaos in play within the management team, with everyone doing whatever they wanted. Now that's gone, right? What I really appreciate is there is a very evident stance and movement towards modernizing the way we play football. You look at the sporting directors and the coaches who are being approached, they're mostly being done in pairs. So you have Ralf Rangnick and Matthias Jaissler, who've worked together in the past. They bring the whole Red Bull coaching philosophy to the table. They're supposed to represent and epitomize that. You have Planes and Mauricio Pochettino together at Espanyol and Tottenham together. And then you have, Andola Irola and Olivier Glasner. All of these coaches largely represent a certain type of football, which is hyper vertical, hyper aggressive, intense pressing football. Now, Iraola is actually a disciple of Bielsa. He worked as Bielsa's assistant manager at Athletic Bilbao. So a lot of his core principles are sort of, a lot of his tactics to Bielsa. Glasner has a slightly more different approach to pressing, but they largely represent a very modern way of playing football, which I think is necessary for Milan. We need to grow and move ahead if we want to truly become a European team with European ambitions. And if you also notice, the teams that are currently performing in the league, just drifting into the conversation we were having a little earlier, the teams that are pressing the most, the teams that are playing the most vertical football are the teams that are sitting at the top of the table. So that's the way I see Milan wanting to go. There seems to be an intent. While everything seems chaotic, there seems to be a semblance of some logic and direction to the kind of coaches and the kind of sporting directors that they're going after. My personal preference would be signing Iraola or Glasner and bringing somebody like a Tony D'Amico to sort of find talent. But that's wishful thinking. Neither of them are going to come here. But at least I'm going to look at the silver lining and hope that all of this will essentially push the club towards modernization.
Fair enough.
I should have gone first. Right. Okay. I think I have to mirror both of you in what you're saying, because I think what Max, what you bring is very much the soulful argument of look at what they've done to our beautiful boy, right? Okay, our beautiful club, and Raj, what you're bringing is like this perspective of how are they logically trying to approach this. My problem with your logic, and I apologize because it's phone going off and everything, right? My problem with your logic is, Raj, you think that we're dealing with reasonable men with reasonable attitudes, with no egos. And I think the best comment was that, Cardinale said in the closed interview to the journalists that the problem with Maldini is that he's a one-man. Maldini's response was, si parla da solo. He can speak for himself, right? And I think that's where we start. I think, look, that fundamentally, I've been able to diagnose two problems. Because the issue is, we can all see issues, but we've really got to diagnose it. Number one, ownership. As long as this owner stays, nothing really changes for the short, medium, or long term for our club. Nothing changes. That makes hiring a manager, a DS, even harder. Because the manager and the DS and the manager, these names that we've all, you've just all mentioned, they know what's going on at Milan. They will have seen what's been happening, and they'll say, I'm walking into that. And Iraola, if this was Berlusconi and Iraola was approached, Iraola would never have refused Milan. Never. Even if the budget wasn't there, he would never have refused it. It's become this poison chalice, this venomous apple, take a bite, see what happens to your career. Sorry. It's not right. So that's problem number one. Problem number two then, is communication.
Yeah.
The way that they communicate does not bring the fans to them and does not bring them to the fans. The club, for me, is dead. In that regard, the club is dead. Because where am I meant to feel affinity to this? Where am I meant to feel any kind of love, sympathy, and everything? Diego Bantantuono, famous Italian comedian, actor, he says, I'm no longer a fan. I resign my fandom. It's not that he's saying, I've heard people in the past saying, I'm now going to go and support other clubs in Italy, right? Okay, you do you. I don't see how you can. But what Bantantuono is saying is, why do I need to line these guys' pockets? And look at the way that they communicate. Press releases. They communicate through journalists that they like, that they don't, they don't stand up to scrutiny. My piece on the blog, which I know we've got a graphic for, was talking about how Cassano all year spoke about Iraola. It comes out 5 weeks ago. Ibra is speaking to Cassano. Ibra is leaking to Cassano. Ibra is talking to the players about what Allegri said about them. Look at how they communicate. They have no respect for the club, for the traditions, for the fans, and for the players. Now, if you've got an ownership problem and a communication problem, you've then got a third problem. Your money. This idea of that I'm not interested in plusvalenza is nonsense because you've just made 100 million. That's all you care about. The video at the beginning, it proved what kind of business model you want to run. So this is a systemic problem across so many different things. And my great concern is, like what Max was saying, it's going to get worse. I see it genuinely getting worse. I see us not having a proper setup going into the season. I see us not being able to invest in the market to pick up players. And there's a whole list of players that if you were to take the transfer market numbers, yeah, if you were to sell the players that we've all said we'd sell or whatever, and then have players that we can able to buy, we could build a really good squad with young Italians, right? We could. My case in point, I'm just going to do this really quickly, right? You've got centre-backs, Ocoli from Leicester, released, yeah? Nicolo Bertola from Udinese, right? You've then got another Udinese centre back, Jaka Bitiol. You know, you're not talking a lot of money. You're not talking a lot of money. Right backs, Zanotti. He plays at Lugano. He's Inter-owned. Raul Bellanova, Atalanta. Again, Italy international. Not a lot of money. Central midfielders. You've got Casade, box to box. So we're not saying that we don't want another box to box. Giovanni Fabian, Bologna. Sherendur, Fiorentina. Lazar Samizadic, Atalanta. Baldazzini, Roma. Wingers, you've got Gnotto. If you're going to go for a player, go Gnotto. He's at Leeds. Go for him. Pafundi, Sampdoria. Ruggeri, Atalanta. I'm just saying, there are players. But if you do not have the manager and you don't have the will, you don't have the money, you don't have the right communication, if you're going to keep on leaking players' names, we're going to go for the last 4 seasons. You're going to just see this merry-go-round of, we want this player, we want this player, we're in talks with this player, 12th hour, player's not good enough, we end up buying a bag of shite.
Yeah.
January,
right? And then
I think
what's going on?
Yeah, no. What finding players and developing them, which is what they're going after. It's a completely different matter whether they secure these targets, and I'm referring to both sporting directors as well as coaches. I mean, we're talking about player development. No one's really done a better job than that than Iraola or Glasner for the last few years, right? And these results speak for themselves. Scott, Zabarini, who went to PSG after 1 season at Bournemouth, Huijsen, who went to Real Madrid, Krupi, who's now the talk of the town. You know, when Iraola was at, he kind of got and brought up here, who went up to Madrid. Oliver Glasner, you know, he's been developing players. I mean, Crystal Palace, Wharton, Eze, Olise, Mateta. When he was at Frankfurt, it was Kolo Muani and just player development. That's the kind of people want to go after. They recently approached as well. So I think to the approach, what you're referring to is a systemic problem. I think that I completely agree that there is a systemic problem from a communication standpoint, the lack of accountability, answer questions. Cardinale wants to go to these forums and talk about economic models. That's not how sport necessarily plays out. My problem with him is when he tries to draw a parallel between the model of operations and sporting success, which he claims are not unrelated. In my opinion, because the team's operations are not trying to win titles every year. And there is, you're looking for sustainable performances, but you look across Europe who are competing for titles are doing so players by buying guarantees, right? The only club right now who seem to be signing players that maybe not many people know about, but were turning out to be hugely successful are PSG, when they decided to do away with their superstar recruitment. They essentially conceded control, or rather ceded control, to Luis Enrique and said, this club is yours, do with it what you deem fit. And he ended up going and buying players you and I probably never heard of before they wore a PSG jersey.
Can I say something, Raj? I think I think there's a really good example in the same city of how to do things in a model that we have. So, if I'm not wrong, Inter are owned by a hedge fund, aren't they? Oaktree.
Yeah.
The difference between Redbird and Oaktree is that Oaktree have left people that know about football in charge. That haven't spent millions and millions. They've recruited intelligently for a system. So they've picked a system, they've recruited for it, they've got the right people in the right place. So you can go from Inzaghi to Kivu and you can win a domestic double. What I think, I don't know whether Gino agrees with me. I don't. You can do all of that. You can pick the manager that develops youth. You can have a mercado. You can get the sporting director. You can do all of those things, and they bring success. But I don't think this lot. Oh God, he's gone. Where's he gone?
He's disappeared.
I don't. Yeah. He hated my take so much. He's just gone.
Raj, you there, mate?
Yeah, he is. There he is. Yeah. I don't think any of that really matters when it is this badly systematically.
Yeah.
So like if you could put Pep Guardiola in charge of Milan, and you could put a sporting director that he's worked with before. He'll never have the budget. He'll never have the backup. He'll never have an intelligent conversation with someone about what to do going forwards. He'll never be given the right players. Nothing will ever work in this ecosystem, to quote Jerry Cardinale word, to get this to work. I genuinely think they have fucked it so bad.
Yeah.
Right. They need to just reset and get the fuck out as quickly as possible, and give it to people that understand. I don't know. Maybe I've gone a bit far fetched.
No. I think you're right, because I think what you're saying, and it's what I think has actually been made in all of our discussions. I think we're just trying to find different ways, right? But if you were to just look at the context of Milan, right? No one wants to be a managerial perspective right now. As a player, you'd consider not joining because you can see the chaos. You've got people who are making full decisions who don't know either what football is, or the only footballer that is doing anything isn't spending his time developing the football, right? He's too invested in developing his own brand. So right now, it's almost like, here's something, but we don't know what we're doing with it, right? It's like me with an IKEA flat pack. I can look at the instructions as much as it wants, and it's a box. I'll still get it wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's why I call my dad. He does it. Why? Because he's a carpenter. Do you know what I mean? Give me a book to write. I know how to write a book. This is something where it's the wrong people are in the wrong place doing the wrong job. And that is not a light thing to say. This is a very situation we're finding ourselves in, because we will not have a manager in place in enough time for me. We will not have enough time on the mercato to go and get your players. Cardinale would have been best suited. Sit the fuck back, right? Put in an AD or a president, an AD alla Marotta. Let him deal with the football. You take your rewards, yeah? Let the AD take it all on board. Full stop. It's what Berlusconi, even though Berlusconi knew football. He knew man management and he knew football. But what did he do? He brought in Galliani. Says, you run it. That's what made the difference. And Galliani would turn to him and say, the players need better changing rooms. They need better. Right, we pay for it. Gets it sorted. Right? This is dangerous. I can't honestly underestimate how dangerous this is. It's a really, really dangerous moment for us as a club. And me as a fan, I feel nothing towards that management or the club anymore. Yes, they'll always be the first love. But I feel nothing towards, because they have ruined it. They've taken the precious thing that I cared about, and it's basically gone, it's a toy. It's not a toy. It's a toy.
Yeah, Yeah. Right, guys, should we move on? Look, I think this is what I thought would happen. We'd end up having a conversation when we got to this bit because it's such a sticky, horrible thing to talk about. But I think Gino is right. In a way, we kind of agree with each other that, you know, it is the right thing to do, but whether they do it or not, that's the problem here. Right, okay, look.
Yeah.
Let's go on to just plug our Substack and then we'll say our thank yous and goodbye. So look, we have this Substack. It's our MLM Couch Hub blog over on Substack. I've said Substack 4 times. I don't know why I've done that. You can follow, rate, subscribe, do everything you can for us. We really appreciate it. A big thank you to our founding members, Rune, Rajat and Shane. And of course, Buzz, who's our monthly subscriber. And just at the bottom, you've got scrolling all of our free subscribers. Just some of the stuff we've done in this week. And there's been a lot to talk about this week. So this is the piece that Gino did. More heads have rolled. Like Gino said earlier, just kind of what Cassano's been saying, etc., etc. Wow. And then I did this piece here, which kind of goes with what we've been saying. Milan's real problem isn't gone, which I kind of stand by. And again, I just talked about the end result and what's going on. We'll be doing a lot of substacking over the summer with bonus articles and whatever. So look, Rajat, thank you so much for all your help, Raj. We really appreciate it. You've been an absolute star as per usual. Your insight, your knowledge, your skill is impressive. And if you keep coming on, we will keep inviting you because you are absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Gino, of course, who has propped me up all season long and looked after me as we've stressed our way through these 38 games in season. And I guess before I hand over to Raj to say goodbye and plug, and Gino to say goodbye and plug, I just want to say a massive thank you to all our listeners, viewers and subscribers who have been really great this year. Our podcast has grown quite a lot, especially in the last 12 months. We've got more followers on every platform and we've done loads of stuff to try and have some fun in what has been a pretty shit year, actually. Shit 2 years, actually, if I'm really honest. So big thank you. The MLM podcast will be back, but might be a while. I think me and Julie are going to take this summer off. I think we've had enough about talking about the same shit over and over again, if I'm really honest. And we'll see what it looks like come next season. Right, that's it from me. Raj, please plug away all the bits that you're up to. And again, just a massive thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Max and Gino, for having me on. Although what we've been talking about probably isn't a lot of fun to talk about, but it's amazing to just come back here and talk Milan with you guys. Would love to come back again. And great work. Really love listening to you guys when I'm driving. Very honest, candid conversations from the heart, unadulterated. So just love listening to you guys. So keep the good work and coming back again soon.
Thank you, Raj. That means a lot.
Well, first and foremost, Raj, thank you for giving up your time as well this evening. I know there's a few hours difference. It's very late for you there. So honestly, really appreciate it. Secondly, the fact that you are choosing our podcast over things like Modern Wisdom or, you know, Manosphere-based podcasts. I really, really admire it. Max, where are we the biggest? Where are we listened to the most? What country?
Well, it is United States.
So your impression before might just have killed a few.
Well, I did a few dodgy impressions the last couple of weeks, and the followers have only gone up. So I don't know if
they have gone up. Yeah, that's worrying for America and relations. So honestly, thank you to absolutely everybody who does take the time to listen, to comment, to send us messages. I know I went a little bit unhinged a few weeks back when I was screaming down the microphone about Cardinale and what the F he thinks he's doing. Get your name out, get Maldini's name out of your mouth and everything. So I'd like to thank future lawyers as well. But more importantly, Max, thank you, because this podcast, it doesn't happen unless you actually plan things, get us doing it, and that's a huge thing. You know, I can call you a friend, and I really appreciate all the time and effort that you keep on putting into it. Forza Milan, as ever, but not this management. Fuck Cardinale. Fuck Zlatan. Everyone else can get fucked. And by the way, I just wanted to say this before. I love how we've got progressive football that's taken the top spots. We failed to do it, and Napoli sign Allegri. Nothing makes me prouder because now I can pick on my cousins. So, thank you, everybody. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great summer, and hopefully we'll be back in September. Forza Milan. Goodbye.